everybody. Greg is still out because it takes a while to recover from a Brazilian butt lift. So you have me tonight. How is everybody doing? Okay. Really? Because everything is kind of rough right now, if you ask me. I mean, sometimes the news can feel like depressing story after depressing story. If I wanted to see that, I'd just flip through my old diaries. A former United States president being arrested. A current United States president who can't pronounce the word arrested. Deadly storms, inflation, violence, and that's just in the Fox and Friends green room. The only thing that might be more depressing than the news is the power that all of this sad, traumatic stuff has to divide us. But there is a way to heal, both as individuals and with those around us. And thankfully, it doesn't involve any advice from Dr. Fauci. It's candid, open speech, and especially comedy. Deep down, people do know this. Hell, it might even be why people tune into this show. It's either that or the tasteful eroticism. Looking great, you're looking great. The power of speech and comedy to heal and unite us is so desperately needed right now that I could not be more relieved to know that there's a book coming out about this exact thing on April 18th. It's called You Can't Joke About That, Why Everything is Funny, Nothing is Sacred, and We're All in This Together. Available for pre-order wherever books are sold. Okay, yeah, I want to sell books, right? It might not look like it, but I do need to eat. And if you see it at your local library, steal it, because then we'll have to buy another one. I don't want to sell the books just for the sake of myself, though, or even for my husband, who has plans to flee the country if it doesn't sell well because he won't be able to handle my meltdown. It will make Chernobyl look like an X-ray. I want to get this message out there for all of us, because we as a society have created the wrong rules for communication. We've created unnecessary conflict when really we should all be in this together, like that hot tub that Banderas keeps in the back of her pickup. And that's one of the many things that makes my book different from other books about speech. A lot of discussion about speech focuses on how we have the right to say whatever we want, no matter how offensive or divisive it is. And that's true. I do have the right to say, Mike Baker, you worked for the CIA, and sometimes when you're talking, I wish someone would kill me with a pencil. Or Julie, it's like you saw Snooki drinking and said, hold my beer, and then realized you already chugged your beer.
I don't drink beer, though.
Or how could a man named Buck Sexton be that boring? And Joe DeVito, nah, it's too easy. To be clear, I have the right to say all that, especially because no one has been a better sport about taking jokes on this show than I have.
She's like an earthworm, small, slender, and thrives in dirt.
And she's wise beyond her years, is something no one has ever said.
She's like confetti. After a party, people say, what a mess. Oh, and speak of the devil.
And she'll appear.
Her family's planning a road trip to get away from her. She's on the FBI's least wanted list. She's like Canada. White, always cold, and people often forget she's there.
Yeah, all of you four can handle it. But intention matters a lot. Someone who was trying to make a joke should not be treated the same way as someone who was trying to be mean. Framing the debate as speech versus sensitivity ignores the way that it can unite us, especially because being truly pro-speech includes speech about feelings. I know the saying goes, facts don't care about your feelings, but sometimes feelings don't care about your facts. Trust me, it's exactly why I wasted time dating all those losers in my 20s. You know who you are. I'm just kidding. They'll never see this because they don't have enough money for a TV. But sharing that your feelings were hurt is not a bad thing. It's good. If we don't express ourselves to each other, we have no hope of understanding each other either. It's like Biden talking to John Fetterman. Even Kamala couldn't laugh through that. But there's a difference between sharing hurt feelings and trying to use hurt feelings to shut down a conversation or get someone fired or exert some other kind of power or control. That's not oversensitivity or even sensitivity at all. It's bullying, like I do to my husband when I need attention, which is always. The truth is, when people say you can't joke about that, what they usually mean is, this is a subject that makes me sad or angry, like death, illness, sexism, racism, homophobia, or, in the case of this show, anything that the audience laughs louder at than they did at something of Greg's. But, thanks. But the truth is that sad, dark, horrible stuff is the most important stuff to joke about. Comedy has unique healing powers, especially when it comes to the scariest things in life. Something else I've found healing is the realization that every tough thing you go through, you're automatically building a connection with everyone else who's gone through it too. But what's the use if we can't talk about it? When we give people the space to take risks and speak freely, though, there are no limits for connecting with those around us or for what we can laugh in the face of, no matter how distressing it is. Even if it's your boss calling you a mentally deranged drunk. Let's welcome tonight's guest. When she's in front of a crowd, it's usually an intervention. Fox News anchor Julie Banderas. He's got a voice for radio and hair for a Head & Shoulders commercial. Co-host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, Buck Sexton. When he's not having people killed, you can see him modeling Wrangler jeans. Former CIA operative and author of the new book, Company Rules, Mike Baker. And he inspires children to abandon their dreams. Comedian Joe DeVito. All right. Joe, you're the comedian, so I'll go to you first. I truly don't believe that there is a such thing as something that we cannot joke about.
No, not at all. Sometimes, like you said, the things that are the most difficult to deal with, you have to say jokes about them. And the people who complain about that, you have to look at totalitarians. They're not known for their sense of humor.
Right.
No one's ever said, well, once you get Stalin alone, the guy's hilarious. Knock, knock, who's there? They're the KGB. So, yeah, it's true. And it's like this saying, people say laughter is the best medicine. Usually people with terrible insurance. And, yeah, I think it's important. I think we need to laugh. The tougher times get, the more you look for things that you can laugh at. And it's such a great experience to share it with other people. I can think back to me being at a comedy club and a woman coming up to me after and saying, my family's going through a really tough time, and you were able to distract us from that for a little while, and we want to thank you. And I said, hey, lady, I'm trying to sell some merch here, so if you buy a CD or what, let's move it along.
Did she buy one?
She did not buy a CD.
Oh. I mean, Julie, for me, that's been the case. Every tough thing I've been through, I'm only able to go through it because I can also laugh.
No, I mean, when you and I get together and drink, all we do is laugh, and all the topic is disparaging comments about each other, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I just think that basically, I think overall this country has just become such a pack of and I think people just need to chill out, get to laugh at each other and don't take every joke so freaking seriously. Like, people need to just not be so politically correct all the time. Like, you actually have to be able to laugh at everything. Otherwise, you got something stuck up your, what.
I agree. You know what's so weird is pack of is actually some of your merch.
Yeah. It's like a murder of crows.
What a coincidence. Mike, when you were in the CIA and you and your CIA buddies used to kill people, did you joke about it?
All the time.
I figured.
Yeah, because as Joe says, some things you just got to make fun of.
Yeah.
Right? And it helps pass the time too when you do it. And sometimes we joke about it just before we whack somebody. First of all, I would like to say that Joe did not get enough of a reaction to his laughter is the best medicine line. I thought that was really good.
Thank you. We'll clean it up in post.
Yeah. No, you can't. I always thought comedy, to your point, was that was it. That's where you you were safe and you could say anything, right? Because people were smart enough to understand it was comedy.
Right.
And I don't understand how, because, and not to pick on younger people, Buck, but I don't understand how generations of people raised on South Park and Family Guy now can be so easily offended. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. We all watched Cartman kill Scott Tedderman's parents and make them into a chili that he then served him. And we're like, you can't say you guys.
So I would just say we had very different experiences at the CIA. The CIA that he worked at was like Mad Men. Everyone smoking cigarettes, making inappropriate jokes, very, very different. I come along and it's a lot of seminars on how everyone has to be politically correct and everything else. So that had already, that had already happened. So Mike and I had different versions or different views, I think, of it from that level. But just in a broader context of it, you guys had better suits, though, for sure. The dress code got dress code got worse.
He still does, actually.
Oh, God.
You don't like the boat shoes? You
Don't be offended. It's comedy.
Oh, man. But I also was talking on the radio the other day about how there used to be these movies, comedies, that everybody would talk about, that everybody would go to see, and that whole experience of being in the theater with everyone laughing together, there was something really bonding about that. And you think about some of the movie experiences you had, whether it was at home with friends watching or you're at a theater, you know, there's something about Mary, Dumb and Dumber, 40-Year-Old Virgin, all these different movies that, you know, roughly speaking, you and I grew up with, right? They can't make them anymore. And there's something really lost there. Like, you don't really even see an attempt to make much in the way of comedies anymore. And I do think that it's something that really brings people together, a bit like how sports used to be able to before everybody was kneeling and getting political.
Oh, I don't like sport. Well, it depends. I mean, Joe, something they don't understand about comedy, too, is it's all about swinging and missing. You don't know if it's work until you try. We can't make people too afraid to try.
Yeah, it's a weird, you know, and some of these conversations where we talk about comedy as this big, and I'm working to sell chicken wings for the club that I'm at. I mean, I'm realistic about what we're doing as stand-up comics. But it is this front line of what you can say and what people will try and shut you down for saying. And it's really unfortunate because the best jokes are ones that make you laugh before you've had a chance to think about it. Yeah. It plugs into something before you can get offended or annoyed or have this boilerplate reaction. And I think that's a very good way to communicate with people, to get in there before that filter comes through. And that's what I think it would be sad if we missed that, because those jokes that have some kind of truth to them, otherwise you wouldn't laugh at them. And anything that exposes a truth, I think, is very important.
Yeah. I agree. Before we go, you guys all should come by my book tour. It's going to be the best time. It's going to be so weird, so fun. Woo-hoo! If you miss it, you'll be so mad at yourself. I'll be in Chicago on April 30th and Washington, D.C. on May 6th. To get tickets, go to the link tree on my bio on Twitter or Instagram. I would love to see you there. We're going to have so much fun.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.